We would certainly like to touch on your favorite one if you would like to talk about it.
Well, I've written 5 novels.
Right.
The first is called Mass Transit. It's set in Karachi. It's a political novel. It sort of parallels the rise of the MQM. Then the second, and it was published by Oxford University Press. It was Oxford University Press, Karachi, Pakistan's first ever, experiment with publishing original fiction. And then the second one also was published by them, On Air, which is also set in Karachi and deals with people's personal crises, and which also paralleled the bigger crises, in the country on the political sphere. And the third is called Stay With Me, set as an interrogation of a person who's missing. And the fourth is called A Matter of Detail, which is set in New York and in Pakistan, in Karachi, and it's over the period of time when the Iraq War started. And it's a novel about a family that's a business family where the family has the father who has 2 wives. The love marriage, and the second wife is a cousin. And the first belongs to the Bani Israel community of Karachi, and which was pretty much finished by the early 1980s because most people migrated to Israel that belonged to that community. And so I love that novel, A Matter of Detail. And and there was much talk about turning that into a film by Imran Aslam, the late Imran Aslam. But he wanted me to change the main character from being Jewish to Parsi. And they would hold, and I couldn't do that. And the 5th novel is called The Inn, and it's set in Washington, D.C. and in the suburbs of Washington, D.C. And it's about people who are very self-congratulatory, do-gooders, rescuers.
Okay.
And who have no idea, or at least pretend they'd have no idea about the destruction and violence and pain that they cause. And how they're living off of it. So that's The Inn. So that's my 5th novel. So
what?
Go
ahead. No, I was just going to ask you, I feel like the first 3 novels that you mentioned were mostly set on the backdrop of the political scene back in Pakistan. Would that be correct?
The first 3 absolutely were set in the backdrop of the political scene in Pakistan.
And then what was the inspiration of your favorite one, the Bani Israel story?
I don't have a favorite really in the novel. I enjoyed that more. It's not my favorite though. I love all my writing. Then I look back at Mass Transit, I think, oh, did I write that? And On Air, I feel that way too. Stay With Me, I think,
they're all like your children, right? You can't pick a favorite.
I think why didn't anybody really recognize Stay With Me for what it is? I got an award from the Pakistan Academy of Letters, the Pitras Bukhari Award for A Matter of Detail.
Oh, congratulations.
Did, yes. And so what was your question, sorry? Just
the inspiration behind the first 3 we spoke about, the political influence.
So all that to say that I didn't know Karachi when I started working there in the mid-80s. I mean, we went for summer vacations and all that, but didn't know it. And I was totally mesmerized by the older part of Karachi, where there were these, gorgeous buildings and this Indo-Saracen Gothic kind of style. And I didn't know those terms at that time, but there were just beautiful buildings. But I looked at all those buildings and thought about the people who lived there. And I'd heard my father speak about with his friends about these two sisters who used to sing. Can't remember whether they were the David sisters or the Daniel sisters or one of those two names. Everybody said they were Jewish. And then there was a doctor that they talked about who was also Jewish. And so it was in the back of my head that, okay,
Stayed with you.
stayed with me. And then I saw a Star of David. No, I made that up. I did not see any stars of David. I totally made that up. And I thought about that and thought about that. And I just made up this story. And the main character, main character who's Jewish, Hajrabai, just
Mhm.
my head just came out whole, out of my head. And people think I know somebody like that. But I don't. I know people with that personality type,
Yeah.
but I definitely do not know an older Jewish woman in Karachi or that family, or these are all people that came right out of my head.
Fictional characters.
They're fictional characters. And first, that novel it's called A Matter of Detail.
Yeah.
A matter of detail, what her faith is.
Yeah.
She's as much like everybody else in Karachi. She's more Karachi than most, certainly more than me. And so that's what it's about. And I love her and I love that whole family. And I think that was a great book. And I hope that it does get a chance to be turned into a play, 34, 34 episodes,
Yeah.
selling tapal chai. Um, mhm.
And what about the inn? I use society in Washington, D.C., the do-gooders. So is that from your own personal experience while you were involved with the World Bank?
It was more about these last 2 decades
Mm-hmm.
where I got to understand what the word liberal means in the United States.
Okay.
Okay. And that it does not mean what liberal means to the rest of the world.
Hmm.
And what Democrat means in the United States, right? No. And so it's more about the deep, it's written from a place of anger and uh, and uh, and and seeing very clearly how things work here,
Hmm.
you know, and how you get to sit at the dinner table or get invited only if you continue to be a good girl,
Hmm.
right? Say what's needed, do as we say. Um, don't argue, don't upset us.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? No, we don't want to talk about war. That's too upsetting, even though it's our bombs,
Yeah.
but it's too upsetting to
We're
talk about.
responsible for it, but we don't want to talk about it.
It's too upsetting for us, right?
Yeah.
Even though we're the ones financing it, we're the ones invading, we're the ones killing. No, but it's too upsetting.
Yeah. Can't talk about it. That's what's upsetting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the duplicity is basically what.
It's more than duplicity. I don't have a word for it. So I had to write a whole novel.
Hence the novel.
Hence the novel.
Okay, that makes sense. Perfect sense. We have, and I'm hoping our viewers will go and pick up that novel and try to understand what liberal actually means, what democratic actually means, and how you presented it to them.
Or just the people who think they're so progressive and open-minded and have such a worldview. It's a very narrow worldview they have.
Yeah. So maybe that would serve as a mirror for them.
Yes, it is about showing a mirror. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm doing. You asked, is there what else? What
Yeah,
else?
I was gonna say, what's in the works now?
What's in the works is that I am, along with the Little Book Company, I've started Little Book Company podcast,
Huh, okay,
audio podcast.
okay,
I've done 30 episodes, actually 37 episodes.
okay,
And the last 7 have been part of one episode. So it's the 28th episode, and it's devoted to Razia Bhatti and Newsline.
okay,
Bhatti was the editor-in-chief and founder of Newsline magazine.
okay,
Right? It began in its inaugural issue was in July 1989. And so I've been doing these podcasts.
mm-hmm.
These are audios.
Okay,
We accompany the Little Book Company as another avenue that talks about books, and I've been interviewing and having conversations, not interviews, but conversations with writers and anybody that's involved in the whole idea of books and editing.
okay. So it's not just the authors that you're publishing or the authors that are on your platform. It's people who are involved, yeah, involved with books.
Exactly. So it's eclectic in that sense. And I've actually ended up having conversations with a whole bunch of publishers who are all women.
Oh.
So there's Mehvesh Amin,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Aleph Review and has the Broken Leg Publishing House. Safina Danish Elahi, who is Reverie Publishing. She's also an author. So is Mehvesh. Mehvesh is a poet. Goodness, of course, Huri Nurani, Maktabe Danial, Amina Saqib, a very interesting interview with Amina Saqib. They're all very interesting. Amina Saqib was the managing director of Oxford University Press. And it was very much, when you meet her, she presents herself as a very straight-laced person.
Okay.
But this interview took me by surprise.
Okay.
Conversation took me by surprise. So that's really interesting. And then, of course, Maniza Shamsi, who's a literary critic. She's not a publisher, and Niloufar Farooq, who I'm going to, that particular episode will be uploaded next week, she published the art magazine called Nukta.
Okay.
Very glossy, wonderful art magazine.
So there's a whole spectrum of people that you're talking to.
Yes. So lots of wonderful people.
Yeah. Lot to look forward to. But thank you again for taking the time out. I really appreciate the conversation. And it was one of the most interesting conversations I've had.
Thank you very much.